Hello young writers, this is Said and today inshallah we're going to study a new form of writing. Today inshallah we're going to write an argumentative essay. Last year and the year prior you have studied persuasive essay. What do you mean by persuasive essay? In which you present a debatable issue, okay, and you state your position loud and clear, and you try to support all your position with all the evidence and the examples that you can do, and you also refute all the counter argument of that issue. Today we need to be more objective. You need to be the moderator here, okay? In this case, inshallah, we're going to study an argument. And this argument, we're going to change our point of view or the stereotype of the word argument. Argument doesn't mean fighting. It means reasonable representation of the issue. Okay? How can we accomplish this? Look here. What do you mean by argumentative? It's an argumentative essay. It's an importance to remember about it that you show both sides of a continuous issue, okay? In other words, the topic must be what? Debatable. It must be, yes, controversial, okay? So, this year, inshallah, we're going to focus on both sides, okay, of the argument before you choose your own position, okay? It means that you have to be objective to the point. Okay, so, before we organize our essays, we need to brainstorm both sides of the issue. Brainstorm, okay? You are accustomed with the word brainstorm. It means to collect all the ideas, all the possible ideas, okay, on both sides. And the organization you choose should be whichever will best showcase your ideas, okay? Now, let's have a plan on the following debatable topic. Today, inshallah, let's talk about abortion. Okay, you know that abortion is controversial, is debatable among people, okay? Some countries try to pass through or legalize abortion, and other countries forbid it, okay? So now let's consider the pros and cons of each. Okay, so pro, counter, it means they are with. Abortion should be legal. It means why? So how would you support it? What is supporting ideas? That because of women's right, a woman doesn't want to have a child, okay? Because of the socioeconomic effects of unwanted children, okay? Now we have lots of children without families, without parents, and it will cause downfall of the formation of the society. Now let's talk about the opposing point of view, that abortion should not be legal ever. Why? Because children have right, they have the right to live. That's the simplest of life itself. Okay, of course, it arises all the moral questions and religious perspective that we cannot allow abortion. Okay, now you have stated both arguments, that's with, that's against, and you need to state your reasons on both. Now you have encountered some of the terms that we have mentioned, okay? But you need to learn exactly what do they mean. So, the first one, what do you mean by argumentation? Okay, you can pause the video, take a moment, answer the questions, try to match the word with its definition, then come back and check it later. Okay? So, argumentation means the act or process of forming reasons, drawing conclusions, and applying them to a case in discussion. Okay? It means that you brainstorm, you bring all the ideas, you support them, you draw your own judgment, and then you present the showcase. Okay? Whether you are with or against. That's argumentation. So, it is discussion. Refutation. Yes. It's the process of discrediting the arguments that oppose your thesis statement, okay? Refutation, it means that when you oppose the presented idea, the thesis, okay? Proponent, yes, that's someone who argues in favor, someone who is with, someone who is advocate. Remember these words, okay? Like when you say some people are advocates to the idea, some people are proponents to the idea. Of course, whenever I have a proponent, I have an opponent. Yes. Opponent is a person who disagrees with someone and speaks against it. Okay? He disagrees and speaks against. The counter argument, that's the con, remember? The opposing point of view. Okay? So, it is the point of statement that in opposition to the argument being made in a written document or speech. And the final one, the pro-argument, that means that you are, yes, you support the thesis, you support the idea here. Okay? Now, are you familiar now with all the terms? Now, let's establish or let's organize our essay. We said that argumentation is a discussion in which you present both sides before you establish your position. So, in this case, I need you to put in mind this part. Present both sides of the issue equally and objectively. Objectively, it means that you don't take sides, okay? You narrate everything as it's mentioned, okay? You establish everything. Okay, so what does this mean? Your thesis statement must reflect clearly the purpose why your essay assigned. Okay, so here your thesis statement is answering the question why. But your thesis should be like a declarative statement? No, it should be debatable, that arouses the question into the reader's mind. Okay, now I've told you, before you take position, that's an argumentative essay, not persuasive one. Okay, so you need to be objective. Like what? In this case, let's have an example of a thesis. While many feel that a woman should have the freedom to choose whether or not to bear a child, others feel that terminating a pregnancy is immoral. Now, here we are presenting what? Both sides. The people who are with and the other who are against. Okay? So far so good? When teacher shall I state my opinion at the end? I said, in the past, you have studied persuasive essay. That's the part. Today, you are now grown up, almost or adult-like. You can now present both point of views objectively. Okay? Okay, what are the steps of writing? First of all, you state your topic. You determine your thesis, as we have established. Then you brainstorm your ideas, okay? And you try to search to support all of the given ideas. Okay, now, how can I organize my ideas? Let's say I have two patterns or two organization forms I can follow or do. The first one is called the block style. It's from its name. It comes in blocks, it comes in paragraphs. Okay, the first paragraph is stable with me, that's the introduction, okay? The second paragraph, the con point of view. It means that the opposing, the one who is against. Okay? That's paragraph number 2, the first body paragraph. Paragraph number 3 is what? Yes. People who are with the supporting point of view, okay? And of course, at the end, the conclusion, okay? Teacher, if I have more ideas and I need to divide them into more paragraphs, okay, I don't mind at all. The length of the paragraph depends on your ideas or the examples given, okay? So, all in all, whenever I have point 1, I should oppose it with point 2. Point 1. Whenever I have point 2, I should refute it with point 2. 3, okay? We are discussing the same idea. Mention something that you are with, refute it. Say, no, it's bad. We are against it. Okay? Right. But let's move to the point by point style. Of course, we said the introduction is stable with me. Okay? The point by point, it means that you take one idea, you support it, then you refute it. In the second paragraph, you take one idea, you support it, then you refute it. Third paragraph, you take one idea, you support it, you refute it. And of course, at the end, there is the conclusion. So what shall I do with the conclusion? You state your own opinion. You try to find a common ground. You try to summarize both points of views, okay? It differs. But here, each point of view should be refuted, okay? So far, so good? Again, one idea, the opposing. In the same paragraph. Paragraph 2, one idea, support it, then refute it. One idea, support it, then refute it, and that's the end. Okay? All right. Okay, here, the following outline is appropriate if you are presenting an objective, neutral position on the issue. It means that you don't take sides here. Okay? Okay, so the point by point, we said the organization works well if you would like to present two sides of an issue fairly and objectively, okay? Without taking a side. Point by point works best if the individual point of the argument oppose each other directly, okay? It works well. If I'm talking about different ideas or different perspectives or different sides of the premises here, you would prefer to go to the block style, to mention all the supporting ones, then to mention all the opposing ideas, okay? All right, so the introduction here, explain the importance of the issue. That's important. You need to define it to explain why it's important. Provide background information explaining the issue, why it's debatable. Provide thesis statement, which recognize the main perspective of the opposing side, okay? Now, let's move to the body. And I've told you before, in the introduction, it's preferable to start with to choose the dramatic ones. Dramatic ones in which you narrate a real life story, in which you mention an anecdote, okay? Let's move to the body. Let's say take paragraph number 1, okay? We said here, paragraph number 1 present the first supporting point of view. Okay? Support the point with the examples. How can you get your example? From research. Why? To illustrate. Present the opposing now or the counterpoint of the above. Okay, well, now you need to support with what? Example. Research to illustrate. The same idea. Support, refute. Support, oppose. The same one. The second one. Examples. Oppose. Give examples. The third one. Support. Examples. Oppose. Examples. Okay? The fourth paragraph is always optional. Okay? It depends on your preferences, on your ideas. Then what about the conclusion itself? Okay? Here, whether you rephrase your main point or you can state your own opinion. You can summarize the main ideas here, okay, in order to build a stronger position. Provide a final thought for the reader, okay? Maybe you can directly ask the reader's opinion. Maybe you can present something that would catch the reader's attention and allows him to work on the essay itself himself, okay? Okay, there are some rules that you should follow. First of all, avoid one-sided or biased argument, okay? It means that don't be prejudiced, okay? Don't take sides, you need to be objective, okay? Anticipate, foreshadow, foresee, realistic objection. Give the opposition a fair representation, okay? Examine the pros and the cons of your thesis, okay? Avoid unclear, ambiguous thesis statement, okay? Don't create confusion. Don't use subjective thesis. Like when you say I, never mention I, we, or I believe, or maybe, or that show any sign of hesitation, okay? Try to be objective. And whenever you are objective, you rely only on facts, not on opinions. Avoid controversial supporting arguments, okay? You want to build a stronger supporting thesis, so avoid the controversial one, okay? Like for example, when you say support by, when I say this is the hot, this pot is hot, no, it's medium height, it's tall, no, it's medium height, okay? The same idea, avoid the different perspectives here. Express ideas in solid statement, not questions. Okay, now because the opponents will have answer for questions, okay? Be neutral, don't be biased, okay? Avoid hasty generalization. It means that some don't take a rule and apply it for everything. There is diversity, okay, in everything. All right, in narrative essays, we have studied some transition words, some words that would support or organize our story. Here, let's focus on the vocabulary that we can use in our essays. If you are a supporter, you are a proponent, yes. You are one of the people who in favor of. You defend, you advocate, okay? As for the opponents, people who oppose something, criticize it, object, okay? Now, all of these are nouns that refer to people, okay? But let's move to the verbs. Argue, claim, maintain, assert, contend, allege, insist, suggest, point out, okay? Once you are done with your essay, try to implement, to use these words, okay? To avoid repetition and to try to state your points clearly. Okay, now whenever I find any of given words in your essay, it is going to be an argumentative one. Without them, it would be vague. Now, what about transition words, statements that we can use? I asked you to memorize the previous ones, okay? Now let's try to use them. The counter argument, like some person or a group claim or argue or suggest that. Argument implies that. Interpret these results to mean that, okay? Now, how you can respond, how you can answer, however, yet, and so on, okay? Right? I need you to keep these sheets, use it as reference of these terms, then you can use these expressions in your writing, inshallah. Okay? Now, I'm going to upload you sample that you can read before you initiate with your writing.